Imagine this. People counted not as, well, people, but as things, just items.
Yeah.
There's this moment in the book we're looking at today. It's so stark. Germans tallying deportees, asking, wie viel Stück? How many pieces?
Not an answer. 650 pieces. Just devastating.
It hits you right away. How does humanity even survive being reduced to a piece? What's lost? I mean, what could possibly remain?
That image.
Yeah.
It really sets the scene, doesn't it? It's the start of this incredible book, this journey through, well, the absolute darkest parts of our history, but also, surprisingly, towards paths leading back.
Right. And really getting into challenging texts like this, that's what we try to do here. It's similar to the AI book analyses you can find over on our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments.
Mm-hmm.
The idea there is to help you reflect, think critically about these really powerful stories. And our aim here today is basically the same. Guide you through this book, pull out what's essential, help you understand its core message.
Okay, so let's start with that first part. If this is a man, the descent.
Yeah, the arrival, the shock. It starts even before the camp, right? That deportation announcement coming just days after the Germans seemed, well, almost reasonable, promising improvements even.
It's that whiplash. And then the train journey. That's where the stripping away really begins.
Exactly. Levi describes those first blows at the station. They felt new and senseless, hitting a man without anger.
It wasn't even about the pain initially, was it? More the sheer amazement, the complete inversion of everything they knew.
Yeah, it starts dismantling you right there.
And then the shower room.
Yeah.
That's the real point of no return in that initial phase. Yep. Systematic, total.
Clothes, shoes, hair, even your name, gone. Replaced by a number tattooed on your arm.
That's where they become, what did you call them? Phantoms.
Yeah. And the realization hits. This is the bottom.
And he writes, our language lacks words to express this offense, the demolition of a man.
Think about that. Outside, even the poorest person owns something. A keepsake, a memory attached to an object.
But here, nothing. Your name isn't even yours anymore. The effort just to remember who you were must have been immense.
So then you're in the logger itself, and it's this bizarre mix, not just grimness.
No, it's grotesque. Horrific things happening alongside the strangely mundane, like that band playing Rosamunda at the gate.
While prisoners march like stiff puppets, it's chillingly absurd.
And besides the constant threat of selection, the brutal work, there are all these rules. So complicated, but senseless.
Making beds perfectly flat, greasing Woody shoes just so, checking buttons.
All these rituals, eating up time, energy, serving no real purpose except control, humiliation.
Plus the anxiety, the constant gnawing fear, sleep, almost impossible.
Right. Shouts for Rue.
Silence, but you can't sleep. Fear, discomfort, lice.
And the sounds, that train whistle in the distance.
Oh, yeah. He mentions how it became this symbol, didn't he? Heard so often alongside suffering. It just instantly conjured the camp.
And in that world, ordinary morality just crumbles. The fight for survival is relentless without respite. And crucially, everyone is desperately and ferociously alone. That's a key line.
All the shades of gray from normal life, good, bad, brave, cowardly, they just get flattened, reduced to one thing, the saved and the drowned.
That's the only real division that matters there.
And trying to be among the saved, well, it often meant changing who you were, becoming something else.
Right. Levi talks about the pressure to become an organizer, a combinator, a prominent.
People who learned the twisted rules found ways, often morally gray ways, to get extra food, avoid the worst jobs.
He calls it a pitiless process of natural selection, not about strength necessarily.
No, more about being able to operate in that warped system, adapting.
And that just fundamentally twisted everyday concepts like good and evil.
Like theft. The examples are so striking. Stealing from the Bunefactory. Sometimes, even encouraged by the SS for their own supplies.
The stealing from another prisoner? Severely punished. By the same SS. It makes no sense from our perspective.
And the desperation for food. It drove everything. The market, that underground economy.
People spending hours picking through soup for a fleck of potato.
Selling their only shirt, knowing they'll freeze just for a bit more bread.
He even mentions capos playing these cruel games, hiding stolen items, making prisoners search. It forces you to ask, like Levi does, how much of our normal moral compass could even function there.
A bit. And this is important. The book doesn't just leave you in despair. There are these moments of resistance, of clinging to humanity.
Steinlauf, he's so key.
Yeah, the ex-sergeant. His lesson, the logger wants to turn you into a beast, so your main task is not to become one.
Survival isn't just physical. It's a duty to bear witness, tell the story later.
You have to hold on to the skeleton, the scaffolding, the form of civilization, he calls it.
It's active resistance, spiritual resistance almost, a core philosophy in the book.
And then there are these tiny, almost unbelievable flickers of normalcy.
Like that good day he describes at the Buna site, seeing sunlight and puddles.
Looking at each other, and someone smiles. Just a smile, despite everything.
That shared moment of recognition.
Yeah. And that scene with Piccolo, Jean, walking to get the rations, that's unforgettable.
Talking about home, books, their mothers, trying to reclaim something.
And Levi trying to remember Dante, reciting the canto of Ulysses.
Poetry, memory, connecting to a world beyond the wire.
He says that they felt capable of so much in that moment. It wasn't just about getting through the day. It was remembering what being fully human felt like.
That thread, that striving, it carries through into the second part, the truce, the journey home.
But liberation, it wasn't instant relief, was it?
No, not at all. It was this strange, uncertain time, a kind of limbo.
The camp thawed, became this awful, squalid place. People were still dying. Illness, exhaustion.
Tragically, even from eating too much, too fast after starving for so long.
And that shame he talks about, not guilt, but shame. The shame the Germans did not know.
The shame that such a thing could even exist in the world, that another human being could inflict it.
He contrasts that first horrifying bath, the grotesque, devilish, sacral bath,
with the bath after liberation. In the Russian manner, to human measure. A small thing, but symbolic.
Yeah, regaining a bit of dignity, a bit of humanity.
And this period becomes about rebuilding community, too, not just individual lives.
That story of the group in the abandoned hut, finding a stove, getting it working.
Pooling resources, finding salt, water, a battery, establishing rules for hygiene, for sharing.
After being forced into being desperately alone, these are huge steps. Rebuilding order, trust, mutual care.
And those evenings around the stove, Levi, Charles, Arthur, sharing stories. Home, the war, losses.
He says they felt themselves become men once again, just by sharing, by listening.
It was about reclaiming their identities beyond the number, being heard.
And maybe the most moving part, Hennek and the child, Herbenek.
Oh yeah, Herbenek, who seemed utterly unresponsive, maybe born in the camp, never really knew anything else.
But Hennek cared for him so gently, almost maternally.
And that moment, Hennek thinks Herbenek spoke a word. Mask low, something guttural, difficult.
Levi presents it as this tiny, incredibly fragile spark. The potential for connection, for language, still there, even in the absolute depths.
It's powerful. And there were other small acts of pure goodness, weren't there?
The Italian civilian worker who helped Levi. Just helped him. No expectation of reward.
In a world where kindness was so rare, those moments must have shone incredibly brightly.
And that night with Cesar, in the abandoned house, cooking eggs, drinking sweet tea.
He describes the mood. Tense and alert, hilarious, lucid, and sensitive.
Just basic warmth, basic comfort, allowing for this heightened state of awareness, of connection, every detail remembered vividly.
And that long, winding journey home, it introduces this amazing cast of characters, survivors finding their way back.
Cesar again, the rogue from Rome, so resourceful.
Faking illness, the absurd performance trying to sell eggs, the fish trade with the syringe.
Yeah, he's a survivor, a bit of a trickster, but driven by this deep need for home, for affection, for his Panienka. It shows the complex things survival demanded.
Then there's Mordo Nahum, the Greek.
Yeah.
Very different.
So pragmatic, logical. His view that man is wolf to man. It wasn't bitterness, was it? More like the logger just confirmed what he already knew.
Exactly. He calls it a sad confirmation. He survived through skill, through wit, operating in that world of transactions like selling the shirt with Levi. He knew how that worked.
And Levi mentions others briefly, too. Mr. Unverdorben, lost in his dreams and stories.
Dusk, the barber turned actor, kind of lost in delusion.
Contrasted with someone like Crivero, the straightforward criminal. It shows all the different ways people coped, didn't it? Fantasy, delusion, resilience, pragmatism, crime.
And the journey itself was just chaos. Yeah. Total contrast to the camp's awful precision.
Long train rides, no idea where they were going, relying on finding tracks, food totally inconsistent.
Where are we going tomorrow? I don't know. We're going where we find railway tracks. That line sums it up.
Compared to the Germans' absurd precision in deportation and extermination, the liberation was just arbitrary.
There's that brief, significant moment meeting Marshal Timoshenko, though, finally confirmation. You're going home.
And later, meeting other survivors like the Jewish committee leaders in Romania, sharing stories, offering help, that connection through shared trauma.
Even just seeing an American Jeep, Hearing Italian spoken again, Neapolitan dialect, symbolic moments of return.
The book also tackles that hard question. What did ordinary Germans know?
Yeah, Levi contrasts the official secrecy with what must have been widespread knowledge. Anecdotes, personal encounters.
He mentions witnessing the indifference, even malignant joy, when synagogues burned. It's uncomfortable, but he puts it out there.
Yes, and he's also very careful when he compares the German camps to the Russian ones, based on his experience and what he heard.
He makes a crucial distinction, doesn't he, about the ultimate goal?
Right. He points to the unique, monstrous aim of the Nazi camps, the systematic extermination of entire peoples, gigantic death machines.
Whereas the Soviet camps, while he calls them deplorable products of illegality and inhumanity, he links them more to historical Russian patterns.
The key difference for him was that inherent exterminatory purpose built into Nazism. He felt Nazism without camps was unimaginable, while socialism without camps was possible, even if the Soviet reality was brutal. It's a specific point he makes based on the system's stated ideology and function.
And ultimately the conclusion, it's quite something. He says the experience, despite its horror, paradoxically made him richer and surer.
Echoing his friend who called the camp her university.
That feels so difficult to grasp. How can such destruction lead to anything positive?
Well, he stresses luck played a huge part, obviously, but also internal factors. His scientific curiosity, maybe. That constant observation.
And his determination, not just to survive, but to survive to tell the story.
Exactly. To survive with the precise purpose of recounting the things we had witnessed and endured, and that core resolve.
To recognize always, even in the darkest days, in my companions and in myself, men, not things.
To actively hold on to seeing humanity, even when a system is built to erase it entirely.
It's incredibly powerful. And exploring this book, like the analyses on our Mindful Moments channel or discussions across our podcasts, is really about helping you reflect on these huge, important stories.
Which brings us back, doesn't it? If the logger fundamentally challenged good and evil, making you ask how much of our morality could survive there, what does that ask of us now?
Yeah. What does it mean to stay human, to see the human in others, not just in extremes, but every day in our own lives?
It's a question that definitely lingers.
We really hope this conversation gives you something to think about, encourages you to keep exploring these ideas critically. If you found this valuable, please subscribe.
And maybe share this with someone else who appreciates getting into profound books like this one.
If you want to read Primo Levi's work yourself, and we highly recommend you do, you can find links to purchase the book right there in the description. Thanks for joining us.